Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Package Team Weekly Sync from March 29th, 2021. And David, you have the first item.
Yeah, thanks. So the code review process has changed. You can check the MR linked in the agenda for the details. So basically, instead of using the assignee field, you need to use the reviewers field. And well, I guess there is a transition phase where people will just miss those pings. So expect that in your reviews.
In addition to that, to avoid that, I try to assign to both, at least for a period, and I immediately being scolded on MR that I shouldn't assign people anymore. So.
Yeah, I think the place I noticed it showing up was in my list of reviews. It shows you a number that is inclusive of both reviews you've been assigned to, as well as issues or whatever you've been assigned to, MRs you've been assigned to. So that's kind of where I've been seeing it come up in my normal workflow. So something to keep in mind as you're sort of scrolling through everything. Did anyone have any other thoughts on this? Yeah, it's probably just worth keeping an eye on. Probably just worth keeping an eye on that as you're getting assigned to things. Cool. Thanks for bringing that up, David. The MR is in the GitLab project. For anyone following along at home, the MR is 56802. It's hard to link to it when you're watching a video, so that's why I'm mentioning it. Cool. All right, well, I have the next item. I'm just asking the question whether we should consider scheduling community contributions in our milestones. I know with a couple of, well, at least one open position in the team. Yes, we're hiring if you're watching at home. We have whatever community contributions we're trying to support, we have fewer people to assist with those. And so I'm just wondering, and this is probably more a question for Tim and maybe something we can cover in the planning meeting tomorrow as well, is the idea of whether we could take a look at scheduling some of those as part of our milestone. But yeah, just an idea. I think, Nico, you have a comment?
Yeah, I think if I can recall, a few milestones ago, we had a conversation around having a community contributor coordinator that will sort of do the routine task around the community contribution. So ask if there is a change log and all these kind of things before it ends in the hand of the first reviewer. I don't know if it makes sense to have something like that, yes or no?
Yeah, I mean, I think that person would need to be not one of the engineers, right? Otherwise, it's the same thing. So,
well, yeah, yes and no, in the meaning that there is probably a snippet that you can copy paste in every community new contributor MR and say, do you have this, and that, or by doing it routinely it becomes faster. But yeah, ideally not an engineer.
Tim?
Yeah, I would be happy to do that role. That's especially if we have a common list of questions that we should ask each time, that would be okay. But I was gonna, with regards to adding it to the milestone, one challenge I think we may face is that it's not as predictable as a GitLab employee number of hours. There's some months where we have someone may be able to make many contributions, and then they may go several weeks or several months without being able to make any commits. So just maybe, not that makes it impossible to count in the milestone, it just makes it more difficult, I think.
Yeah, I meant more in the sense of like scheduling the time on behalf of the team so that they can spend X amount of time during the milestone to assist, more than taking that community contribution and putting it into the milestone. And because yeah, you're totally right. I don't even want to put pressure on the community contributors to be expected to deliver in a milestone, that's, you know, I'm not seeing that to be helpful. I don't think you have either. Yeah, more thinking along the lines of like, can we schedule something in the milestone to allow, you know, any of the team who are supporting community contribution, I can't even English good, community contributions to be able to support those people.
That makes sense. What if we did something like when we're weighting the planning issue, people could say what their community contribution weights are for that milestone, and then just give it, or we can give like a default weight and say we have a default 5 or 3 or 10. I don't know how big it is depending of the community contributions for the upcoming milestone. We know we have DB in progress. We know that there's going to be some NuGet stuff done. Let's give it this weight.
I mean, I don't mind what we try. I'm sort of more trying to make us a little bit more predictable in response time for the community contributors, so they're not sort of sitting around waiting for us to get back to them, or at least we can sort of let them know, or have some level of, hey, we'll get back to you in this time frame. You know, here's where we can get back to you with. And then it also, I want to try to look at alleviating some of the pressure on the team who are, you know, trying to help. And it's really hard if you've got like 50 community contributions that you feel responsible, you want to help people. So I don't mind if we do it that way. I'd be happy to try whatever people think. I do acknowledge that, you know, manager pants and product manager have been talking about this and no one who would be actually doing this thing. So I'm wondering what the rest of the team thinks.
Yeah, I think discussing it in the planning issue makes a lot of sense. I was thinking maybe because there is, at least right now, such a long list, it could help to have maybe like a monthly like community contribution, like planning type meeting where we just kind of look at like, what are all the open community contributions? Which ones haven't been addressed at all yet? You know, which ones are going to take longer than others, and, you know, kind of figuring some things like that out that could help with identifying how long it might take in a milestone.
Yeah, I don't mind that idea. Oh, sorry, Nico, go ahead. I apologize.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think most of the community contribution are backend. If there is simple stuff, it still require effort, and feel free to send it over to me and this and talking to Steve and David, right? If you think it's in my alley of Ruby skills and domain knowledge, unload yourself of some chores and pass it over to me.
Yeah, one thing to note is that I think we discussed that we are emphasizing in the Debian MVC community MRs. And so since we are focusing on that ones, we have less time for the others.
All right, so it sounds like I want to try and summarize a little bit if I can. It sounds like what we're suggesting is we add items to the milestone planning, get a list of all of the community contributions we're tracking right now, and then even potentially evaluate which ones we might prioritize that align more closely with Tim's priority plan. Perhaps we prioritize that in terms of the engineers and the team who focused in that area. Nico's offered to help out with some of the maybe things that aren't aligned with the priority of the team. And Tim's offered to be sort of touch point and going, hey, as long as we have a common set of questions, we can go into those and say, hey, be aware of this, be aware of that type of thing. That feels like something that could get handed off pretty quickly to a bot of some kind, you know, rather than having the very valuable time of Tim going there and pasting something. But I'm happy to start with that. I can help out with that as well. Is that a fair summary? Do people feel like, did I miss something? Okay, cool. All right. So I think maybe what I'll do is I'll go try and get an MR in today or tomorrow to update the handbook page so that we have that sort of documented, and that way you all can review it, make sure I did capture it and write it down, excuse me, correctly. which isn't always guaranteed. So we could check that out. I'll share it with the team and we can make sure it's good, and then we can discuss it there, and obviously open and welcome suggestions from the rest of the team if I've missed something. Cool. Sweet. All right, well, I do have an item in the not recorded section for the team to chat about. So I'm going to stop the recording, but please hang out so we can talk about that. For everyone following along at home, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, whatever that looks like, and we'll see you next time.